Mai rā te keke te ara mai, te keke te ara mai rā te ara. He manu whakarono tīpua te manu nei rā he tōrea. Tōrea ki uta, tōrea ki tai. Ko whete whete ana hoki o onutu. Ko tū kataha māwi, ka tū kataha katau. A tū numia, a tū rawea. Whakahotu nuku, whakahotu rani. Ko tau manawa he tāne, ko tōku manawa he tāne, whāno, hara mai rai te toki, haumi e, hui e, tāiki e. E kōtau, tātou, kōtau, e mihi kaua tana ki a kōtau i nā rangatira, kōtau ka tūhono mai nei ki runa i tēnei kaupapa whakapiri mai, whakatata mai i tēnei wāhana o tēnei whakāturana. Nō reira e mihi kaua tana ki a kōtau. O tira ke huri ake rā ki tēnei o tātou nā mate huhua tērā ohorere ake nei ki te rono ake nei a koe e te whāia. June. Tēnā i rono ake i ohorere ake i te rono ake nei nā ko koe tēnei hina ake nei i tēnei rani. Nō reira e kui e te whae e te hoa, e te rangatira tēnei rā nā kōrero mau. Mi ki rā kua māmā te wāhina kia koe. Kua māmā, kua mahia tōu na tinana e tērei nā mate i runa i a koe. Nō reira kare atu he kōrero e tuatu ki runa i a koe. Nō reira e hoa, e te whaia, e te pau tō tara nui. Me kira i wanuni i a mātau ki tā maki makaurau. Ko koe ni tēnā e takoto mai nei i taumara nui i tēnā o na kāina. Nō reira e kui takoto. Haere rā ki tō hoa rangatira, neira i tēnei tō hoa rangatira ki a pāo. Haere atu rā ki a rātau ma. Haere atu rā ki a rātau, ko koe tēnei e whai atu nei a rātau ma. Nō reira haere rā e kui. Koe nō rā waho nā kōrero mā etahi kei runa nei tēnei whakātura nei tēnei pōhoi whakaputa whakaro hoi nō mā rātau hei kōrero nā kōrero ki runa i a koe nō reira. E te whae, e te kui, e te hoa nō reira, takoto. Haere rā ki te musuna kore, haere rā ki a rātau ma. Hoi nō rā kā tino rā i nei kupu kōrero i tēnei wā. Kia koe ke koe nō reira, takoto mai rā. Hoi nō rā, ko rono ke rā kōtau e nā rangatira ki tēnei o tātou nā whai June Jackson. Tēnei o mātou nā rangatira i roto i nā whakanekeneke tana ki tā maki makaurau, ki mūma, koe ia te kau te pau whakahare i nā tau mahua ke nei. Hoi no ka pā te māwiwi tana ki runa i aia, koe ia tēnei, ko he atu ne ki mai a tātou. Nō reira ara e hoa. I won't be doing any mahi work painting tonight due to our kuia, to June Jackson, e wāhina hei kōrero mā tātou. It may be a time for us to reflect and many others of our whānau that have been passed through over in the last year, and and how we he hana whakaro o nai tātou o tēnā i nā huatano. There's somebody close to our hearts, and somebody that's close to us, and we can have a kōrero about that. Nō reira e hoa ma, koe ni nā mihi, mai o haa ki nei kia tātou nei, kōtau e noho mai nei o kōtau nā kāina, mai o kōtau nā mau nei, o kōtau nā awa, huri noa, hoi no tēnā kōtau. Kia ora rā tātā. What's up today, Wairere? So, Toy won't be in tonight, so...
no, it's just you and me tonight,
yeah,
Dad?
just Wairere and I will be here today.
No guests tonight, so just obviously just paying our respects there to Fire Dame June Jackson and the whānau that are gathering at the moment. So yeah, so as Dad said, just keen to hear from people out there, that want to kōrero about anyone that's passed in the last little while. Hey, Dad?
Yep.
Been a pretty full-on time last couple of years, and with everything that's been going on.
Yeah, and then we can reflect and have those sort of kind of conversation. You know, sometimes we the amazing thing about our o tātou nā tikana kawa is enable us to talk about those people. He mea nui ki te kōrero mā tātai ki o tātou nā mate. Ki a rātou mai. Yeah, I mean, why not? You know, and but the kuia will be she's kai taumara nui e takoto mai nei tēnei wā. Ki tako mōhio hoi no. I'm not too sure what she will be taking over to Wātea Marae Āpōpō about midday tomorrow. Yeah. So I'm not too sure what what the tikana and the kawa around, because we're still on the traffic light, the red lights, I guess, and but I ki tako mōhio he ko whakamāmahia mai te wāhi mō tātou, and if it's in events, if they're tangi ana and all that kai waho. But mena kai roto I te whare, he tikara anō kai te hare ki reira I tēnei wā. Yeah. So, just a quick one around, and as you can see at Kai Muri nei. So I'm working on this project, Ira Tanata. So from the canvas and over to steel. And so I've been with Achi and I have been working on it. It's a really big help for me. And so we got to produce over 100 of them. Well, yeah, about 100 of them. And so quite a bit of work there. And this work will be exhibited at the at Taurana. It's a mata for Matariki. I hear somebody calling from Waikato too. A possibility maybe Waikato, so I got to talk to Wairere and Toi about that. But definitely will be down in Wellington. So we still trying to work out how we're gonna, make it stand without hooked up into, make it safe for people to hang out there with this ira tanata. Yep.
Sorry, my camera's doing the thing that Toys it did to Toy last week, so I'm just setting up a new one real quick, dude.
Yeah.
These flash cameras, they overheat.
Oh. Yeah.
So just while I've got everyone there, so kia ora to K for Kirsty McGregor over there on Facebook. Rihi.
Hini ani, kia ora kia koe te whanauna. Rewi, Pūpaia Hurei.
Tuku Wai Lawrence, kia ora.
Ai, mihi kautana ki a kōtou.
Carlo Gage.
Yeah.
Who we got over on Twitch? A couple of lurkers over there. Who's on Twitch? Give us a shout out. Let's see if I can get this camera working. Taiho. Oe Tuhoi, kia ora.
Ai. Kia ora moana. Nā mihi kia koe e kas. Yeah. Yeah, so the interesting thing about Tanihana and the way we conduct ourselves around that, and I know that there was an incident in regard to a tangihana that was at Mahurehure. And when Sir John Tudei, te rao mātou korua pake ke pāpā kia mātou. And yeah, and an amount of people that do, you know, it's amazing that we still holding on to that. E mautuna na tātou ki tērā wahana o tātou. And yeah, you know, and how we, you know, we have our 3 days, whai kōrero, tuku whakaaro, you know, and allow us to lay out our thoughts and whakaaro around that. And yeah, and yeah. So I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure where people how people do. I mean, I know they're going up north. When you go up north, they go there at all hours, and you know you go there in the middle of the night, and you get walked in, and here ke anō nā tikano reira. Yeah, and I think it'd be good for us to talk about that. Me kore o tātou i runei tērā kaupapa. And I know for many of us that gare koe ahei ki te tū atu ki te whakaike atu i runei te marae ātea I roto i te pō. And I remember attending some of these wānanga in the early 70s, mid-70s, and there was discussion about well, why don't we put the lights out at night time? Me tahu nā rama. And then they may allow people to walk through through the waharoa. In some whānau, some of the kōrero at that particular wānau that I tended to ka re rā tau tino whakai i tērā kaupapa, i tērā ahuatana. Pērā anō mo te pai whai kōrero, kua hua iti hare nā tānata kei te noiru nei te pai. And e mōhi ana i ki roto i a mātau i rua toki, and they have been for a while. E tahi o nā hapu, kei te iti hare ke nā kei tū. So maybe a time for many of the, you know, the way the generation and the one younger to be able to mau te tū te wini tū te wanawana, wērā whakaro, tērā. So what's your thought around that? How ko tōna whakaro? I know te ka hare koe ki whanganui, ka tūke mai te kai kōrero ko te manuhiri whakaeke. And I remember attending a tangihana there a few years ago. I think it was James Kay's tangihana. And the kaua was tū mai ko mātou, ka tū mai ko te haukaina. And my mate Hone Tūwhare was kind of hesitate to stand up. And kia mātou, you know, I see up to north. You know, you whare kai a kōtou te kōrero. So I had to, hey bro, koe nei te kaua o kone. Yeah, wērā kōrero anō, wērā e hoa ma. What's your experience of going to tangihana Wairere?
Well, you know, it's always pretty. It's this weird mix of emotional and practical. You know, you go to these things and you understand the process and the protocol. I've always found tangihana very cathartic and very sort of like it. You know, it lasts for 3 days. It's everyone kind of has their job, and I mean, apart from your mum. Which was probably the closest family member I've had. Then there's my grandparents from Australia. I got to go over to there, but the difference between a funeral and a tangihana is huge, you know, and the type of connection that you have culturally with that tangihana, and yeah, I mean, I think I prefer it in terms of the process that you go through. I mean, we talk quite a bit there about sort of what's going to happen with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah.
that's a big thing. You know, it's like, what's that going to look like?
Yeah.
I know you just want to sneak away into the bush. So
Yeah.
you know, what do you like in terms of how we do it today, and how things have evolved? Like, what's your vibe on it?
I think the good thing about the tangihana is allow people to lay down their whakaaro, you know, and you can do it how bloody, you know, I've seen guys walk on to the marae and just went and, you know, speak the truth and be honest, you know, and then you got these people who how beautiful this person was, and also, but I think you know, we should be able to have a bit of a katakata. I tell you, I thought that the Aitairani Kahu Tangiana was amazing. It almost wasn't a tangi at all. It was almost like a festival of some kinds. You know, waiata, so just some really amazing stuff there. But I remember going to that one, and my mother, you know, your nan was still around there then, and yeah, you know, so each at the tepen hapu, the tepen hapu roto I a Waikato, Ngāti Haua. Ngāti Haua was in, I think they were responsible for all the manuhiri that arrived there outside the marae, and making sure people are being given cup of teas. I mean, that's something new, and I never ever seen it before. You know, so all the tepen hapu within Waikato, and then of course there was thousands and thousands of people attending that tangi. And I remember our tira from Tūhoe arrived there in the early, you know, we think we were going to be there at the first one on the marae. We all arrived there about just before 6 o'clock in the morning. And no way at all, didn't even get in. And so we stayed there till right up to about nearly 12 hours later, and then for us there to be able to go on to that. Then you got then now people now zoom into tangihana, and I know that when I was talking to Makarini, the bro, Matea, and he said, "Bro, so I had some unusual requests happen to me yesterday." Oh yeah, so why am I now in Perth? And they want him to go to the house, and they got a tangihana in Perth. So anyway, so he arrived there at the whare, and they Skyped it in a big screen on TV, and then when he walked in, so they had the screen there onto the tūpāpaku. So he did the whole nehu, that was a nehu. He did the whole service there. So hey, that's totally different. But the thing, I guess, that we still practice that, whichever way we're gonna do it. Whether it be online, or how do we deal with somebody who a very well-known person, and people will. How do you do with the mass of people? They go to your tangi. You got to feed them, and yeah. So that was a huge, that was a new experience for me for going to Aitairani Kahu. Well-respected person. Even though I really like that kuia. You know, she's not somebody who go, here I am. You know, and I remember her at the Aitairani hui at the Mahurehure. And in fact, I was the one to go and check out Sue who's down at the Waharoa. And she doesn't make much of a fuss, you know, and so she sort of kind of camouflages herself there with all the other kuikuia. yeah. So that was interesting tanihana there on her.
Do you think that, you know, I guess with COVID, we've had to become accustomed to the idea of delivering tangihana via Zoom? Is that something that's been happening? Like you were saying that's been happening?
Yeah. I know that Minister Māori Whēta Horomia, Parekura, tēnā tēnei terehu te tangihana over in the Tai Rāwhiti. And they had a live on radio or on the, I think they had live. So they've been doing that for quite a while.
True.
And yeah, you know. So I think that you know, we make use of the technology and all that, and you know, so people who can't make it for whatever reason. And people are able to participate, I guess, in yeah.
Okay, well, there's a couple of comments here, and I just give a shout out here to my kazi Marae Tepa. She's got a few comments in here, and I'll come back to the one about June later on, Marae. But she's just saying here, I love going to tangihana. To be honest, I find the art of humour is being lost in whai kōrero at tangihana today. And she also actually brings up an interesting one here, which I know we've been talking about, which is have you considered moko tangata, aka moko mokai? Like, if we kind of think about it, so I mean, what was the role of moko mokai traditionally in the tangihana?
Well, just imagine just a hit, just standing there, you know, and I mean, tangihana back in those days is an ongoing thing. It's not just a 3-day thing. And sometimes they take that two papaku in different locations, you know, and making those connections. And I think the longest tangihana that I have experienced was when I was young in Rurataku, was the Korero Wharetini Rangi. And I think they went for a week. And for a whole week, and people keep coming right through that whole week. And because of his Ngāti Parau connection, he married into a wahine no tūoe. Yeah. So what was the question?
So talking about moko mokai. And,
yeah.
And I guess maybe what Marae is alluding to here is maybe, you know, what are the thoughts about, you know, because the moko mokai being traditionally used within that and other occasions.
Yeah.
And then I guess we have the photos that are, I guess, a kind of
replace the photo.
That.
Yeah, you carry the photo.
And I wonder if there is, I mean, we've been talking about sort of the evolution of that, you know, of moving from the photo to maybe something 3D printed.
Yeah, maybe.
It's quite a challenging thought. I know I've dropped that, you know, particularly when it comes to you. It's quite a challenging thought, at the idea of a 3D printed Tame Iti head, only a single one that is brought out, you know, for tangihana. And it's like the question that's been asked of us is like, oh shit, what's it made out of? You know, it's like, who cares what it's made out of? It's
well, I think I mean, no different to photos. They're having photos. That's a whole new thing, you know. And now we hang, instead of having carving popo inside their whare. So people want to have a photo of their loved ones hanging inside the tipuna whare. Yeah, no, it's a good thought, and I mean, I don't know. I think it's a conversation that we need to talk about it, how we can present that, you know, and then you arrive there with a moko mokai down at the mahau or the whare, you know, and stick it up on you know, it's just like the stick here. So you got the whare over here, like this one here. So you see that you can carve a face or something like that.
Right.
Yeah, That is possible. Just around that, the kōrero around that. And yeah, that'd be interesting.
Kia ora tuihi.
Yeah,
We've
tuihi.
got Tāweke, sorry.
Tāwake.
Tāwake.
Tāwake. Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
my screen is a bit... I need to put my glasses on. Salute over on Facebook. Kia ora. Francis Waihape. Kia ora ho. Tuku Wai Lawrence. Kia ora.
Yeah. Well, the other thing too about, because Mariah talked about there, I find that the art of humour has been lost in whai kōrero. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think it's a way, and whai kōrero is not just te hei wini, te hei wana ki te whai ao ki te ao marama. Tērā no tērā kōrero. And how do we share a story? Whether it be tangihana or whether just a whai kōrero on the marae, and how we do that. And it's like painting. How we can capture, because you got an audience, so you got your pai, and then you got your tōpe whakaeke, and telling their stories, and whakapapa too. And I know that in particular you got different group of people that come from a particular area, and particularly around Maniapoto, and I guess that is around June Jackson, around her connection to Maniapoto, and they always refer to those tataupaunam, those conversations, particularly around Te Purua and Tū Korehu. And bringing those sort of those kōrero around that, and yeah, and I guess getting the right people that have a certain amount of knowledge of whakapapa, and able to bring several things into this in the whai kōrero. Yeah. Well, koe te tika no te rea mea o te whai kōrero. Yeah. Some people are really good at it. We're not just talking about whakapapa. He says, where, how do we lay out this conversation? Make it really interesting, and share those thoughts and experiences that you have with this, with your tūpāpaku.
No,
And I guess it's like a rumiran, like a massage. When people in that situation, just like what, when, many years I go through this emotional stuff, that people that are close to my heart, to my thoughts, and somebody that I share some hikwe with the particular people that I know over the years, and yeah, and maybe sometimes just let other people. Sometimes I just like, particularly now, I just like to just sit there and listen. Really, this is most I talk about things then when I'm here talking there on this live show we have here. But even more so now these days, I rather go and say nothing, in kanohi kitea, and just to be there and that's really important too. You don't really need to say anything. But I think that having people to speak on your behalf or on our behalf, and having those right people to able to articulate, to have this conversation. Yeah.
No, well, Mariah agrees. That's right. The art of whai kōrero during tangihana and humour was to bring whānau pani out of the darkness.
Yeah. Mai te pō kene.
Yeah.
Ki te whai ao, ki te ao mārama. It's a miri. And yeah. Waiata, dance. Yeah. I've been to a tangana many years ago to a kaumātua that up in Auckland, and Waiuku, I can't remember the name, but it was a friend of mine, and it wasn't like a tangi. It was really interesting, and because he planned it in a way that was he want people to come and enjoy themselves. He paid for everything. Kai. He didn't want any people to. He just get people to donate the money to something else, not to him, not to marae, because he already paid for his tangana. So he had red wine, white wine. Was like going to a birthday party. Yeah, really interesting. So we even hired the bands, the music, was a sort of kind of jazz, and a jazz band, and that. I like to go to a tangi like that.
Would you like to have a tangi like that? We could have a festival.
Yeah, you can have a festival. Why not? I guess.
The Tame Iti Tangihana Festival. I wonder if any of the marae would actually let us do that. He says. What do you think, Whānau? Did you come to a Tame Iti Tangihana Festival in Ruatoki? Should we find a place? People, it's quite confronting when you talk openly about death. I mean, I feel like Māori are more accustomed to it because it's kind of part of their everyday thing, you know. It's part of, you know, what marae do, and I think it was you that was telling me too that it's the last thing that's still fully Māori. But I don't know, is that true? The process.
Was that so?
You know, the process of tangihana, is it still? I know we're saying it has kind of evolved and there have been changes around it, but compared to weddings or anything else that other things that happen on the marae, is it still?
Yeah. I heard several stories. I heard a story of a tangihana somewhere down in Kahununu, and then when it was somewhere down at the coast, and when they arrived at that particular marae, and a woman got up and do the whai kōrero. Yeah, and of course, no, it wasn't a tangihana. It was an opening. It was an opening of a tipuna whare. Oh, yeah. That's right. And then when they arrived at that particular marae, and the wahine got up and do the whai kōrero. And so anyway, the guy sort of kind of got up from the te ope whakaeke, and so the speaker, the wahine whai kōrero, carried on doing the whai kōrero, and apparently he walked down to the front of the mahau, or the whare, and took his shoes off and went inside the house, because that was the kaupapa was, the opening of a tipuna whare. And so he walked in, and inside the whare, and walk around in the Tara Iti, the Tara Nui, and then walked out, put his shoes on, and walked out to the gate. Then everybody else followed out. Yeah. So it's still maintaining tikana and kawa. Yeah, still maintaining tikana and kawa, because the event was to pay respect to the tipuna whare. And yeah, so I heard that story.
So was that? Did they have
still within tikana and kawa, still maintaining it, right, to pay respect, right. Because there was a karanga there for iwi katoa to attend to the opening of their whare. There would have been either in the 50s or the 60s. Right. It wasn't very long ago. Yeah.
And was it unusual for that to happen, or was it unusual for the?
Well,
for the
I think a lot of that. I think a lot of that. You don't know. You don't know this until you attend those particular taimihana events, and they talk about it. It become a conversation.
Right.
Yeah. And you know, and it's a bit like some of the things that we have done over the years. It become a conversation. The beginning of cars, you know, the welcoming the pōhiri to the crown. It become a conversation, and that wasn't very long ago. That would have been about 10 years ago or so. All that's all part of the whakapapa. That we talk about that. Yeah.
Are there, I mean, this is probably a bit of a pointless question asking you, because I already kind of know what you think about it, but, you know, do you think that there are certain aspects of the culture that need to stay?
Well, I think so. I mean, I have seen a situation where was a pōhiri down in Mangahania Marae down in Ruatoria. My brother Jack and I was there. And there was a bus loads of people from the Tiraho. I think they were taking the mate, the hari mate for Purewa Bero, Reverend Purewa Bero, and the Mangahania. And then when they arrived there, and we had a kotahitanga hui in the kotahitanga movements. And so we just sort of kind of kept on the side. Anyway, the manuri arrived, there was John the Rangihau and Hiakita, Riaka, the Korero from Waimanakaku. And so anyway, when they arrived there, the kuia whai Makrachi got up. And tū te wahiri ki te whai kōrero. Beautiful. She's a beautiful whai kōrero woman there, one. Yeah, and then immediately while she was still doing the whai kōrero, Riaka got up. And re mātou e tū te whakarori kei mai tū mai te wahine ki te koe mai kia mātou. So he was sort of saying, and of course, and John the Rangihau was trying to pull him to get him to sit down. You know, it's just a reminder, he's on Ngāti Pro turf. Koe rata, that's the kawa, you know, and so he kind of, moving around. And so it was interesting to be able to see that, and in fact, it's seen that. And and it happened right in front of your own eyes. That was interesting thing. Yeah.
So are you saying that that's one of the things that should stay the same?
Well, you can't change that. The Ngāti Pro, they allow that.
Right.
Yeah, in different places around the motu, they won't allow that. I have heard discussing the conversation. I heard Pau Te Mara talked about that. We had those conversations at the Huiahure in Tūhoi, become a conversation, tautohe tohe, you know, and interesting how people respond to that kōrero. And I don't know, you know, we just got to find another way. Now, do we remain to be that way, you know, and some of the wahine will say, nah, he noho tonu mātai, he noho tapu tonu mātai. And I think we just have to be more clear, specifically about those roles and responsibility. It doesn't mean to say that the woman doesn't have the right to speak and make a decision. Yeah, it's just the rituals.
Sure.
There's certain rituals. Do we allow the men to go and do a karanga? You know?
Well, I mean, I guess what it's also facing...
Because they're the only one that have the voice. They're the one, the woman's voice is the one that not only talking physically, you know, and tina na hine na, but also the kōrero wairua, because they had the rhythm and the voice to be able to do that. You're not just talking about those ones coming through the gates in the waharoa, but you're doing the kōrero to ki te rā ao, I guess.
Sure. I mean, I've been to marae up north that are struggling, and I feel like there's sort of an ongoing problem, and it's but there are marae that I had attended that were struggling for kaumātua. To talk on the paeroa, and they're having to like, you know, shoot around and kind of do them together, or bring them in from out of town because there isn't anyone there to do that. And and you know, so if there is that issue, I know that there are I've met a fella, Australian guy, so down in Raglan, and his missus is from the area, and then but he's learnt the whai kōrero, and he speaks on the pai, and hardcore Australian cat, Matt. Oh,
Yeah.
Matt Dillon. He's got the same name as the actor, and beautiful reo. But he's stepped up because there's just not enough kaumatua to do it, and so anyway, that's what I've been told. I don't know if that's true, but that's what I've been told. So aroha mai if I'm talking out my backside around that, but he's So what do you think about that? I mean, if there is a shortage, why not let wahine do the whai kōrero? I mean, at the risk of the tikanga and the
there is a place that women are able to talk, and you talk there underneath the mahau with the whare. It's just in the front of it, and they can kōrero from there. I mean, I've seen a lot of the tangihana on the day of the nehu. A lot of women speak there they wear the collar, and so so there's two different wills, will of contradictions, in a way, particularly with the Christian beliefs. They allowed a female minister to be able to conduct a service. So that's quite a common thing. And when you see it, the wahine of the Christian faith, and they're doing their kauhau. To me, that's the same to doing a whai kōrero. So they say, there's a fine line. And so if they are able to conduct themselves on the last day of the tangihana, on the day of the nehu, and so why not carry on and having those conversations? I don't really have a problem with that. Really, basically, I don't have a problem with that. I mean, a lot of our whānau and now they go to the crematorium. To the they take their two pāpaka, and they're now burning their people today. Back in it wasn't very long ago, and I remember a big debate about a woman who committed suicide, and in fact that she had everything organised, and she wanted to be cremated, and was in Korero, and this person was somebody that we know who works at the mill, and she had issues. She killed herself, but she had everything planned that she wanted to be cremated. So there was quite a big discussion just within the whānau whether they will continue to take her request of doing that. And so, and I think they did cremate her in the end. And so having that sort of kind of conversation. So there seemed to be a lot of that shifting from particularly in to be cremated, and then you hear the wahine, the male, and doing their purupuruaki, and a lot of those different events. Still our people, but they're taking it, so they take it away from the marae, and they take it into another environment, and then enable them to do the things that like having the voice, and everybody have the voice and have a say.
Just going through the comments here, This Liddell, kia ora, good evening, over there on Facebook. Rayoni Jackson and Aikisha Rose X over there on YouTube. Kia ora on YouTube. And who else we got there? Liu Malo ni Tame Iti. Tame, not Tama. But kia ora Liu. Lance, Mr. Grims. That's he's just saying it's his favourite the favourite podcast, I think he's talking about us.
Yeah.
Brian Gardner. Remember George Gardner's tangi, 1964 on Rangiwai Island, Waia Island. I was 12 at the time, and it went for a week.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was around there at that time, just before I left home.
Kia ora, Auntie Dai Bundy, kia ora. And Tukuwai Lawrence saying, we definitely have a shortage of kaumātua, and we do share. So yes, there's definitely that. And so, Dad, I remember the bros tangi over in the Rātoki, Terry. And that was a kind of an unusual one because he took his own life as well, and there was a bit of a sort of debate about him, being laid up and for people to come, and there was kind of a change of tikanga for the marae a little bit. Do you remember that? And they also,
I was in jail.
Oh shit, you were too.
I was in jail. I was in Waikeria then, Guest of Her Majesty.
Yeah. And so that was that was quite an interesting tangi for all of us because there was also a Presbyterian what do you call them?
Service.
No, Presbyterian. It was the bro. What's the bro's name? Reverend Mua.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
He was there, and he did his thing, and he just he had a go to all of us, saying, how could this have happened? And he was pretty confrontational about the bro taking his life, and no one really kind of checking in on him, and and then. And so is there a bit of a, is there something around if you commit suicide you kind of get buried straight away and you don't?
Well, it all depends. I mean, we bury several of our whānau who committed suicide. It definitely become a discussion and a conversation, and it all depends on individual whānau. In some whānau they want to take it, they go straight to the urupa. And bury, we're going to bury you.
Why is that?
Well, I don't know. Everybody have a different opinion to it, and I know when I remember listening to a Mohawk guy when I was in Edmonton. There was a chief from the Iroquois Nation. He talked about that, and he kind of challenged the young people for taking their own life. Your grandmother and your grandfather won't allow you, won't open the door for you. I'm not too sure why he, so people have those different opinion around that, and I don't know. I don't want to guess things, but I have seen these sort of types of conversation where people debate that. But otherwise, many of the people that passed and have took their own lives, and we just go through the same ritual, but become a discussion and a conversation.
Yeah. Well, I remember it was happening on the pai that day. I guess there was a lot of kind of, I remember, I can't remember who it was that came up, but he was like, I can't really, this is the man that built my house.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's like, how could I, despite what some of the whānau might be saying around, how this should be treated, he's here and we should, he should be allowed to have all of, the normal ritual. And so, and it seemed like, so not only did we have a Presbyterian reverend, priest, and then this kind of, this discussion was happening on the pai around the fact that he'd, taken his own life and he was being, he was being laid up for a few days. So
Well, why don't we talk to Hori and talk to Hori? I see Hori there, and have a discussion and ask him the question. Well, what would you like to do? Maybe we can get a hold of someone and have a chat about that.
Sure.
Yeah.
I see you there, Hori. I think he's cracking up at the idea that I'm asking you if you went to that and you were actually in prison. So he's just laughing at that.
Yeah.
Kia ora hori, kia ora Mama Sue. She reckons it's been taken from Christianity. Which part? Which part, Mama Sue? The straight into the ground, no service. Is that what you mean?
Well, I've been to a Jehovah Witness tangiana, was a whanauna of ours, and they don't do any whai kōrero. They just go straight down to the urupa and straight in the hole, and no conversation. I told my whanauna the way he got up and did his poro aki, because he was but some faith in particular with the Jehovah's. In fact, they don't allow their two papa to be on the marae, although they're whakapapa to that. So there's a lot of conversation around it. There's some of our whānau that allow themselves to be part of those beliefs, and they take it quite seriously. And so we know all about that.
You've got a question there from Tāwaki. May I ask Matua, by any chance you did Hautu early 70s?
Hautu early 70s.
Was Hut 26?
I'm not too sure exactly what the question is.
Yeah, no, I don't quite get that. You'll have to elaborate a little bit there, Tāwaki.
Hautu.
Is that a track? Was Hut 26? Mama Sue there saying being buried in an unconsecrated ground if you take your own life. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe it was. Maybe. Do you think it came from Christianity, that taki, or was it you were saying before that it was up to the whānau on how that was handled?
Yeah.
Oh, so Mariah asked earlier actually that about I guess working with June Jackson at Wātea.
Oh yeah. She's funny, she's I always find her. I mean, how I end up on broadcasting, she's the one that kind of bullied me into it. I hadn't had plans at all to be on radio, and but the reason she wanted to be on the radio was mo te reo, te kōrero I te reo, because that there's a compliance of money funding. They gotta do a percentage of that of the reo, and so so that was me. So I did a show, was a midday show from midday to was a 2 or 3 hour show, and and I had no idea at all. So of course, being a tutu fella, so I had a go at it, and then I moved from there. I did the midday show, and then I also did one on the early morning, the morning show on George FM. So that was her, and thanks to her, thanks to Dad Kuia for giving most of us those opportunities. Many people like Julian Wilcox and many other people went through the radio.
Scotty Morrison was on there.
Yeah, Scotty Morrison.
Te Kauhoi Wano.
Everybody went through their kuia.
Yeah. Bailey Mackey, he was on there with the boys doing the sports. When they had the sports contract. I remember that. It was me and Toy were on there. Tipare.
Yeah. Well, what were you doing there?
I was the tech guy. I was doing this for them. So yeah, I put all the computer systems and everything together. When they picked up the
contract
the news
for the
contract.
news.
Yeah.
News.
So that was when we had all that. That was good fun. Those were good times. And yep, you're right. There was Auntie June, who was
but she was also on the board with Mariah's and Auntie's mum on the what you call those one in jail?
Parole board.
Yeah, parole board. And she was on the parole board, with Nochi, and and she actually opened up the marae wātea as a place for those who have no place to go to, and so she opened the door for many of those people. And in fact, she done some amazing things. June Jackson.
Yep.
Yeah, very innovative person. Yeah, she's a big driver. You know, and to their kuia. Yeah, and given everybody like myself and able to work on radio. Didn't take me long to learn all the tricks on the radio and so forth.
So she got you on Wātea 603 AM, but she also got you because didn't she own George FM for a while?
Well, Muma did.
Yes.
Muma had the frequency.
That's right.
Which had the two frequencies. So and George FM was really around house music and the kind of trendy stuff. And Peter Ehrlich, I did a show before Peter Ehrlich.
Yes.
And all the big time DJs back in the days. I was still the kindergarten stuff, still doing that stuff, but I managed to navigate myself around that.
So from what I remember, because George FM was only in a small frequency, they only had a small footprint. They wanted to get more. They wanted to get Auckland wide, and June had one of the Māori frequencies, the FM frequencies. So they moved across to that. But in order to use that frequency, they needed to have a certain amount of Māori content, and I think that's where you came in, and they did, where you were, you were providing that certain amount, or that reaching that quota of Te Reo Māori on air, and you did that for quite a few years though.
No, I did. I had quite a big following. I had a big following during that period of time.
Right.
It was an interesting period of time. It was a good learning thing for me, going through that. And but the kuia, she took care of a lot of people that real heavy cases of guy that did long leg inside in Pāremoremo. Yeah, she took them on personally, really, and she had one of them stay with her till she passed. One of them through her whakaro rangatira, of course. I'm just looking at Mrs. Tawake Jeff. O2 was a DC 3 Army Star Ringipo. No, I don't know much about. I do heard about it. I have heard about it. And there's another question around my involvement in Puao Te Atatu. I was not involved in it, but I do remember John Rangihau they had a big conference that was held at Ruatoki, and back in the days, and that was an interesting kaupapa puao, and created by John Rangihau, aroha mai. Yeah.
Māori Maiden, you changed your clothes. You got Facebook on today. We usually see you on Twitch, don't we? Oh, well, kia ora. Good to see you. Glad you could make it anyway. Yeah. Those Radio Wātea days were pretty busy, and I guess that was the last time me and Toy were working together. So that was.
We were all working together.
Yeah. So, that's right.
Yeah, the whole three of us were working there, and 603 AM was our AM station, and there was also the other station down Māori frequency at Ngāti Whātua.
My FM.
My FM, there was another one. They also did the news reading and sports.
Yeah, that was because I think Mai had the contract before Wātea, I think. Or
Yeah.
And then we got it basically. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that was that was a full-on time for us all, and that was us all living in that was pretty much working out of Ngāwhare Wātea, out of the marae. Lots of action there.
Yeah, so June Jackson will be, those who haven't heard, but she will be at Wātea Marae Popo, midday tomorrow. I haven't heard anything else when her burial, and where is she going to be buried. No doubt will be up in Tamaki Makaurau. Yeah. Yep, she's been a big loss for really for South Auckland, June, and she's been quite maiwiwi for quite some time, and aroa kia e mō tērā, taumata nei runa ia ko mahi a tōna wairua. Yeah.
So Dad, you've been working on these new pieces behind you.
Yeah.
These ira tangata.
Yeah, interesting. I always thought about working with steel. I was working in Berlin for a week with Lemi Panawhasia, and I managed to meet up with this particular block in Berlin, and this whole block. Just imagine the whole block and half of Queen Street, nobody there. And the people who own the place just disappeared. And then the homeless men in, but all the artists moved in. And I remember meeting up with a kōrero Pākehā, German artist, and he was working with steel. Man, I did have plans going back to Berlin to explore those potential, but now I'm doing that. And really amazing working with it. It's really taken the image and the ira tanata that I have here in here, and now just creating this sort of kind of work. And yeah.
What are you enjoying about it the most?
I think there's just working with a different material too. There's the process in getting yourself around, you're getting your head around it. And freestyle, enjoy, make a pattern and around it. As many of you would have seen me putting out, posting on Instagram and Facebook, and you would have seen me, just the process I've been working on it. And yeah, so I'm just started, so we've got to make about 100 of these. And then just working with the material, working with this, how do you get that rusty look? So each of the figures are all different. They will never, not one is the same. In just using simple things like apple cider vinegar or white vinegar, and what's the other one? They with the brew with the powder. So use
was that copper sulfate? Is that what it was?
Yeah, sulfate. Yeah, that. And it's sort of mixing, having a tissue with it. So rather than putting your steel, this particular Cortex steel, and leave it out in the elements and put the sun and the rain to create that rusty, they'll take a little while. But using this ingredients is enabled to reaction on that. So as you can see, all of that, beautiful. So you can also kind of paint. So you use the other chemical just to get this. So you say, I got this here, I will not speak Māori. So each of these different figures will represent the 50 years. It's all around the 50 years of the of Ngā Tamato, 50 years of protest. So from 1972, but my protests have been going for a long time, since I was at school, writing 100 lines that you have to see there. But just the different layers. I think the apple cider or bleach make it go black, so you get a black color, and the other one you can get you might not see it, but when you see it in another way, so you can paint over it. Yeah, you get that raw feeling. So yeah, it's amazing. They're quite slightly. You need 2 people working with this there. So Ache and I have been working really hard on that. Well, we're still trying, experimenting, trying to work out what the best way, just to lay out, and how we can, how we can lay out the processing from the cutting the pattern. And the brother over in Korero, Wayne, the bro, there's work in the industry, he's a welder, federal welder. So he's been a really big help too for us, helping us to just create some thought around it, because he's also an artist. So this is really what I come from. So I'm looking forward to the finishing products and even standing them up. So imagine seeing 100 of these going to be down in Wellington, outside the pop-up. Yeah, was originally going to go to Parliament. So we had slightly made some different changes. What was the changes? Why did it?
Oh, that's right. We were going to do a Hakari structure. There was going to be on Parliament grounds. The plan was, and you may have seen that in some of our past live streams, we kind of showed some images of the Hakari that we were going to build, which was basically going to be a challenge to Parliament House, and to commemorate the evolution of, the commemoration, 50-year commemoration of the Māori tent embassy that Dad put up in Ngā Tamatoa. And then, but we decided, we didn't decide, it actually we had to pivot because of the protests in Wellington, which meant it was unlikely we were going to be able to put anything up on Parliament grounds, particularly as a commemoration to a tent. So you may have seen Dad's live streams around about the end of the protests, where we were down there looking for a new spot for this. So this was always in the works, the steel works that Dad's doing now. It's just we'll move it down to the waterfront. And then upon further discussion, we did actually decide that, it was actually through Dad. He was saying that he's done Parliament grounds. He's actually moved. The conversation's moved from that. His activism is done through art now, and it seemed like a better conversation to be having in that area. So. So that's the plan, and there's still quite a few elements to it. So the ira tangata are just one part of it. There's still other elements to the overall exhibition that we plan to do, including music, including
digital images,
projections, images, and something to do with Ngā Tamatoa and the Māori Language Week. So. I'm still hoping we might actually be able to get some of these down onto Parliament grounds, for the Māori Language Week. So still got to figure that out. Yeah.
So they reach a lot of people involved in it in order for me to be able to, in order for me to. To come with some ideas and helping, having conversation with different people, technical people, engineers, architects, and kind of pull things. So you get your tohuna, your different tohuna that come into the space, and so they can. It's called collaboration. It's really working with with this particular type of work. So I'm really enjoying part of it because of the texture, you're working with it, you can actually feel it. Ira tanata, you're creating something. It's quite slightly different to the brush and the paint. And so you're now trying to build something bigger than me. They're a lot taller than me, as you can see. So, there it is.
It's quite funny, Dad.
Even a little fellow
You
there.
kind of
so-
look like you look like
Yeah.
one of them.
Yeah. So, the statue, yeah, they reckon. Yeah, so I really love it.
And what's been the most difficult thing working in this medium?
I think that the difficulties at the moment, really, we're still trying to work out how we're going to present it.
Right.
And trying to get the feel of it, and to make it artistic, and to there will be sound to go with it, so you'll hear little voices, so they can be quite loud or maybe just standing there, So so there's a lot involved in it. I mean, physically, I got to physically deal with every one of them. So Ati and I got to work with every figures, right from the beginning to the end. So you cut it, then you clean it on both sides. So when you got 50 images, well, there's there's over. If you make 50, don't forget you got the other side. So you got 100 of them. You got 100 figures. So you gotta work with them individually. So it's quite a process. So we still got up to September. We hope to complete it within the next couple of months, and then we gotta sand it. So there are different techniques that can kind of give the effect. So we're using the dishwashing steel wool. We try all different stuff there just to try and get that feel of it. And so I'm quite happy with the end products. So we brush out the varnish, the gloss varnish on it, and maybe we just gotta. So don't forget, it's a pretty hardcore visual. You gotta wear masks. You gotta wear. So we got all our farming gears, our apron, our gloves, our masks, and they're quite smelly, quite stink. So you got to have a big space to work on this sort of types of work. It's a lot bigger than painting. But I know this work will last forever. So imagine having one of these in your garden. You can have it in your backyard, or you can have it as your bodyguard. And kai tiaki tō whare, hei haumari tō whare. And you can do many things to it, but they'll be around a long time. So, but each and every one, so we're doing 50. There's more than 100, but it's 50 of these images will represent. And those are 1972 right down to 2022. That's 50 years. So we're still doing the layout. We kind of worked that out, how we're going to curate it and how we kind of present it there. So it's going to be in Tauranga. There's an event for Matariki. And here that they Waikato also Tame Iti. So we might have this body of work, but it's in a smaller scale. So you'll be able to see it. So, and hopefully when we finish it, then we'll chuck them all down to Wellington. So it's quite a bit of mahi. So I'll be busy from now to right up to the end of September. Yeah.
You got to turn 70 somewhere in there too, don't you?
Yeah. Just another couple of weeks. Yeah. Just another day. It's just the beginning for me.
I'm hoping you'll
Life
slow
had
down.
not started yet.
Just saying, I'm hoping it'll slow you down just a little bit so we can
Yeah.
keep up.
Oh, not yet. I haven't slowed down because
I
the thing with when I have these ideas and thoughts in my head, I can't go to sleep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm motivated by that, and I just got to ponder through work, and
It's pretty awesome, Dad. I mean, I mean, I don't know many people your age that have the amount of energy and drive to do the stuff that you do. Like I say, me and Toy, we struggle to keep up. We do. So it's like, you keep us on our toes, but it's good. It's good. And and I think also just with the constantly challenging the norms, regardless. It's not just whether it's within the Māori culture or tūhoitanga or whatever, or whether it's just an age thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
Hopefully I'll be as energetic. Although I can't really imagine I'm going to be as energetic as you are at your age. I already feel 70.
Yeah. But it kind of motivated me. It's a few touch. The thing with art, I feel that working with steel, and I can see myself working with steel for quite some time. I'm already creating thoughts in my head. Maybe burning steel, burning houses with statue in the middle of a fire. But just steel so amazing to work with, which is quite different to wood. So I'm still exploring those potentials that see where it goes.
Yeah, I know we're going to have a very interesting logistical challenge with the weight of it. Like, if you're doing 100 of them or 50 sheets, then how we start to transport that's going to be real interesting because they're not light. I've seen you guys lugging them around the workshop, and there's a bit of effort involved with doing all that stuff. So
so you got to use some weights. So I've been trying to do some weights and just kind of work on my physical body and eating all right and drinking a lot of water and eating the right kai. And I think that's a secret to maintaining my my mental and my wairua, and because I'm in better condition now than I was in my 50s. And a lot more energy, but I still got to have my sleep in the afternoon. Because I get up early in the mornings, and usually my brain pumping around about 4 o'clock in the morning. And I get up and I can't go to sleep. And so I start moving. So I start moving, you start planning. Because the good thing about the way our brain's amazing about our brain. So it works through my feeling in my puku and getting through my head and feeling over here. And you're always creating an idea. So you become the co-creator. Kei roto koe I tō ira atuatana. It's an interesting way of become a way of life that allow you in two state of mind. And in order to, I like the challenge because I've never done big works like this. And I can see it's growing. And you get really excited, and I can't wait so I gotta learn to breathe, get myself back and just go through the process. And so having a younger person working with me, a person like Ati, because he can hang out too. He's one of the very few guys that I know who can, just hang out. Right. Yeah, and we don't really talk that much. We just can do the work. We know. I know Ati for a long time, since he was a kid. So he's a big help because he's a very good artist like a kid too.
Yeah, no,
so he kind of knows that part of the world. So he's a big help if he become a mentor for me, mentor. And and also Wairere and Toi, because I need to have this conversation. So you need really a collective group of people that are able for you to create your madness, your creativities, and make it really interesting and for me to be at this stage. So I think I'm just getting there somewhere.
I don't even think you've even peaked yet. That's the thing.
I
think you've still got, I think we're still on the way up.
No, totally.
Yeah.
Totally. because I can see the mixture of this art and digital, and the images and sounds. I can hear sounds. You know, it's a lot of the sounds, because a lot of this stuff is the way how we share our story. Is around taking the story through our own personal experiences. He ha te huarahi tērā hei arataki a tātou. Kia hohoi roto I te nākau, te wairua, te tanata. And so trying to maintain that. So, yeah. And so my head keeps ticking. And in order for my head, when I'm ticking like that, I have to talk to Wairere about it. I had to talk to Toi about it. I had to talk to Ati about it. I had to talk to several people that I can talk to. So you got to have a line group of people, and enables that when you in your state of creativity, so you become the co-creator, and making sure that the nuts and bolts to it. There are all a lot of nuts and bolts, and making sure they secure it. And so you're not guessing, you know. The thing is, I like to be more real about it. And you get into their world, you're a bit ahua naro, you know, and not quite naro. I'm not like that, but I like to go to their state of mind, but get back to my feet and get to the real kind of nuts and bolts. This okay? Does somebody get hurt? Making sure nobody get hurt, particularly doing this types of work with sculpture. Because they're heavy, they can be quite dangerous.
Yeah, and you're dealing with caustic, ingredients in order to force oxidation and some kind of chemical reaction. So you do have to be careful with that stuff.
Yeah. So you got to be careful with that. Quite, it can kind of pinch your skin. You're feeling your skin. It's all. Make sure all your sleeves are there. You got rubber gloves, you know, and because I can't smell things, but the other day I forgot about it, so I just went and used the varnish, and I forgot, because when I went for a sleep there, the smell stuck in the top of your nose. Shit. Yeah, now you got to make sure you wear a mask when you're working with this stuff there. So you got to, you know, you can look after your health, your inside your body. So you don't want to get all the toxic and build up inside your system. Yeah. So all of that. It's all a big part of it.
Well, I think, Dave, what we'll do is we'll call it. It's been an hour and a half, so
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's been a little bit of a quiet one tonight, but I think we'll have a short one tonight, and then we've got Thursday. We'll try and get a guest on for Thursday. See how we go there.
Yeah.
I think Toy's got something lined up. Oh, although he's going to be up in Auckland for the tangi. Oh, actually, you know what? I'm in Wellington on Thursday.
Hey?
I'm in Wellington working on the Battalion Anthems project with Te Whenua.
When?
Thursday. Yeah,
okay.
I was supposed to be Friday, but she's called me in to go down a day early. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens. In fact, yeah, I imagine with Toy being away and me being away that we won't be having one on Thursday. So it'll be Monday.
Yeah.
Will be the next one. But
good. I'll take a few days off then.
Yeah.
I'm going to have about 2 or 3 days off, and I'll go up to Auckland to June to our kuia. I'll probably fly out there on Wednesday. I'll come back then. I'll go to the beach and hang out there for a few days. And
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, sounds good. That's good. Kia ora to everyone that was out there on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube as well. As always, we love having you with us, and just talking about stuff, the old man and his boys. So, yeah, hopefully you enjoy it, and we'd love having you here. But I'll let Dad sign us out, and we'll catch you guys next week.
Ai hoi no rā kōtou e nā ranga te noho ra mai nā kōtou i kōtou nā kai. Ka tino we nei momo kōrero. Hoi no rā ki o tātou ki tō tātou kuia, ki o tātou nā mate huhua huri noa ki te ao ki te motu. Nā pakana o te ao, tērā, huena kia koutou kia tātou. Nō roa, noho ora mai anō, ka hoki pēnei mai anō a te wiki e tū mai nei.